Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make this jumpsuit. So guys, I'm going to use the easiest way to make it. So basically you're going to go ahead and trace out your basic pattern on the paper, right? You can go ahead and do it on your fabric, but I'm going to use a paper just to better explain it, because just on a paper like this you're going to measure your shoulder to your waist, add 1 inch to it, right? So whatever it is, add 1 inch to it, half an inch for the shoulder part, half an inch for the bottom part. And then for the shoulder part here, you're going to divide your shoulder by 2, subtract 1 from it, because this is a sleeveless. I'm making this for a client, so her shoulder is 16 divided by 2 is 8, and then if I subtract 1 from it, it's going to be 7. So I went ahead and marked it here, came down 1 inch of shoulder slope, and then I marked 3 inches of neckline, connected the first as 1 inch for the front neckline, and then 3 inches for the back neckline. And then mark the shoulder slope, insert your armhole, which is basically your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. That's how you're going to get this length. Connect it, and then the width is going to be your bust measurement divided by 4 plus your seam allowance. So that's what you're going to have here. Come down to the waist, do your waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches here, plus 1 inch on the bust, plus 2 inches here because of the dart, right? So once that is done, let me go ahead and mark it so you know that this is actually 1 inch of seam allowance here, right? So once this is done, you're going to go ahead and cut out just the back neckline first, the shoulder slope, and then the armhole. We're going to use this to trace both the front and the back. If you already have your pattern paper, if you already have everything done, that's okay. But let's just go. I'm going to go ahead and cut out mine. So guys, because this is going to be if you look at the thumbnail, you will find that the one there has a zip in front, right? But for this her own, I'm going to be using, she wants button in front, so it's going to be like a button down but jumpsuit, right? So I'm going to add a button to it, and to make it easy to wear, because my fabric is stiff, I'm going to also add an invisible zipper at the back. This is going to help her to be able to wear it, right? If it was a stretchy fabric, I would just stick to the button in front, or if it's going to be like a free jumpsuit, I would have just left it with just the button in front. But since it's going to be a fitted jumpsuit and the button is not at the back, is actually in front, it will be more difficult to wear. So I have to add that zipper at the back to free the jumpsuit a little bit more, so that she can be able to wear it. That's why I said I'm using an invisible zipper for the back, and then the button is going to be in front, because it's a fitted jumpsuit and the Ankara fabric is very, very strong. It doesn't have any stretch. So now the next thing I'm going to do is, with this pattern paper now, I'm going to fold my fabric into 2. Guys, if you look at it, you see that I've already done most of it, but I figured I could also show you guys how to make it. So I'm going to explain everything. So once you've traced this on the paper, you're going to put it on your fabric, trace out, everything remains the same, right? You're going to trace out this side all the way to the end. But the only difference now is that you're going to have 1 inch by the center for your zipper allowance. You understand? So this is my back panel. Let me write it. Back panel, right? This is the back. You're going to put your paper, trace it, but leave 1 inch for the center here for your zipper. And then the dart at the back is going to go all the way to the armhole line. You see, the dart I used here is like 1 inch before your nipple line, which is shorter, but the dart here went up to your chest line, which is this armhole line. Another thing that I did here is that I came up at the bottom here. If you see, this is no longer straight. It's no longer straight like this, because I came up here 1 inch at the zipper part, the end of this side here, and then I blended it into the side and cut it off. So I'm going to set it aside. I have 2 pieces of this here, and this is my back panel. Moving on to the front panel now. This time around, I'm going to now go ahead and cut out the 3 inches of neck depth, because we've done everything we need for the back. So now we are going to cut this here. Like I said, she is going to be using a button. So instead of doing 1 inch of zipper like I did before, I'm going to do 1 inch of zipper like I did for the back panel. What I'm going to do is half an inch. But trace everything the same now again, except you're going to have half an inch by the center added to the center here, and then the dart here is going to be shorter. You see my dart here is shorter. So let me go ahead and make sure that I have half an inch after the line. So guys, this is it here. I've gone ahead and cut it. So you see, I folded away that 1 inch for the back, just so that I can be able to tell. You see, this is the half an inch here. So the back is wider with this. You see, everything is the same for both of them, except the back is shorter by this side by 1 inch towards the zipper, and then the neckline is just 1 inch. The front has 3 inches of neckline and just half an inch by the center. So let me go ahead and remove everything now, and then we'll move over to cut the pants too. Now the next thing is the pants. You see, I folded my fabric into two, so I just use the whole length of the Akara fabric. So the first thing I'm going to mark here is out. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and mark half an inch at the upper part here. This is going to be able to join the waist, my seam allowance, right? And then once this is done, so the width here is just her hip measurement divided by 4 plus like extra 4 inches, just to be safe, right? So now the next thing you're going to do is to go up to this point here, waist to her, which would normally be at this point 9 here. This is her waist to her hip here, right? And then the next thing I'm going to mark is her waist, this point here, to her crotch. If you don't know how to get this, you can have the person sit down and then you measure from their waist to the chair, like on a hard surface, or you can just divide their hip measurement by 4. Whatever you get is going to be the length you use here. So for her, like I said, her hip is 40, just 40.5, but since this is a jumpsuit, I'm going to just bring it down and make it like 11, just so it's not digging in to her crotch, right? So let me bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to make it 11. And then I'm going to mark my line on this point of 11 here. So now that this is done, the next thing I'm going to mark here is going to be from this point here. I'm going to mark her hip measurement divided by 4. So like I said, her hip is 40, divided by 4 is going to be 10. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add 1 inch to that. So 11 is what I'm going to mark here. I'm also going to take it up and mark the same 11 here, right? And then I'm going to connect the two of them together. And then once you finish marking it, you're going to take the measurement you have from this point to this point and divide it by 4, right? Whatever you have here divided by 4 is the measurement you're going to have here, down here, right? From this point to this point, whatever it is divided by 4 is what you're going to have here. So whatever you get, add it to that point and then mark it here. Mine is supposed to be at least 3 point something, but right now I'm seeing that it's not going to be enough. That's why I said do 4 inches, but I'm going to figure it out. So go ahead and mark it here. And then once that is done, you're going to take this up to the waist, and then you're going to divide their waist by 4. So whatever the waist measurement is, so her waist is 34, sorry, divided by 4, I'm going to go ahead and mark that here. And then I'm going to add like 2 inches to it, 1 inch of that and 1 inch of seam allowance. And then once that is done, I'm going to connect it to the hip line, just like, not slim, she's just medium, right? But she doesn't have a lot of hip. So the next thing I'm going to do is from this center part now, I'm going to insert my dart. So from this center line now, what I'm going to do is her nipple to nipple divided by 2, mark it, and then my dart is going to stop before this dart here, like 2 inches before the dart, so somewhere here, and then half an inch on this side, half an inch on this other side. Sorry, this is more than half an inch, but you get what I'm saying. After that, I'm going to just notch it so that I know that this is where I'm going to be placing my darts, right? Finish up this bottom part. So how we're going to do it is to place back my tape again, and then what I'm going to do is to measure from her waist to her knee. Most times it's 22, so her waist to her knee, depending on the person's height, but average is 22. I'm going to go ahead and mark, and then from there you're going to mark what their pant length would be. Like I said, her shoulder to waist is 18, and then if I subtract 18 from the jumpsuit, which is 58.5, if I subtract 18 from it, that will leave me with 40.5, right? So that means the bottom of this pants is going to be 40.5, but I'm going to just approximate it to 41. and then plus my seam allowance. So let's say I decide to do like 2 inches of seam allowance, so that would be at 43. So it's almost the whole fabric that I'm using here, but this is where my actual length would be, right? So now that I've marked it, the next thing I'm going to do is to come down here. Like if you want, you can use the whole leg of this pants now and just leave it the way it is. All you have to do is to just cut off this part here and cut off this part here. But because she doesn't want the leg of her pants to open, what I'm going to do is just to go down to this point here, and I'm going to take away like 1.5 on this side and then 1.5 on this other side, because she doesn't want it too wide. And then I'm going to just find a way to connect it all the way to this point here. So guys, you see I've connected mine. And another way you're going to calculate what you put here is measure round their thigh, divide it by 2, their upper thigh, divide it by 2, and insert it here. So whatever you get is going to be the total length from this point to this end here. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut now. Like I said before, the end of her pants, I took away 1.5 for me because she wants it like almost straight, right? Just like how the one in the video is, but a little on the thumbnail, but a little bit close up. So another thing you can do, like I said, is if you want it really wide or your fabric is not as stiff as an Ankara, you can still stick with the opening of the pants the way it is. But if your hip is big, like your hip is like 48 or maybe 50, you know that that means the wideness of this fabric will be too wide. So that means you have to at least reduce it a little. You can do 1.5 here, because your seam allowance will still be taken out of this here. So let me. So guys, this is it here. So I'm going to use this pattern now to cut the back. So guys, what I'm going to do now is, you see the back panel, I've placed my fabric. So I'm going to take this here, place it here, but I'm going to leave at least like 1 to 2 inches on that side here. So how you're going to know the width of the back is that whatever width you used when you started cutting the front, add like 4 inches also to the width of the back, right? And then make sure you have up to like 3 inches added to the length also. So what I'm saying is that the width of the back panel should be 4 inches wider than the one you started with for the front, and also 3 inches longer than what you started with for the front. So now I'm going to move this to the end here, and then I'm going to start to insert my measurement. So you see, this is just right by the center. So I'm going to make sure that this line of my front panel, I'm going to extend it towards the back, and then I'm going to check that I have at least 3 inches here for the back crotch, which is what I have. And then these 3 inches here, I'm going to also, so I'm going to just leave it the way it is now. This is okay for me. So the next thing you're going to do is on this upper part here, you're going to make sure that you come in by like 2 inches in, and then extend it out here by 2 inches from the end of the pant. So I have exactly that 2 inches here. So this is where it ends. Now I'm going to connect from this point here to this point here, but before you connect it, make sure that this upper part here, you have exactly what you have for the front crotch, this small piece here, this length here. Transfer it and make sure you have it at the top of your cloth, at the top of this here. So for me, I think this is okay. So let me pull this fabric a little bit more. I want to have like almost 3 or 2.5 here, which is okay for me. Yeah, this is okay for me. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect from this point here to this side here. So I'm going to connect the two together, just like this. And then once that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, I hope you guys can see the line. So once it's done now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect from this point here to my crotch here. So you're going to go ahead, this line here, I'm going to connect it all the way into my crotch, just like this. So this is now my new back crotch, but because I'm going to have a zipper here, I'm going to add like 1 inch here, just like this. Start somewhere here and then bring it out, extend it up. This is going to form like the zipper, like flyer or something, right? The seam allowance for my zip. So that is what I just added now. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put back this where it's supposed to be, because it moved while I was doing this. So once that is done, on this part of this side here, I'm going to go ahead and show you. So what I'm going to do is coming out on this hip part here. If you want, you can do 1 inch. If you want, you can do half an inch. I think I'm just going to do 0.75 here, and then I'm also going to do 0.75 here. The same on the end here. I'm going to do the same 0.75 here, and then I'm going to do 0.75 here. And then now coming to this point here, I'm going to connect the two of them together from here all the way to this point, and then turn around my ruler, use a straight line, connect from here all the way to this point. Do the same on this other side, connect from here all the way to this point. And then after that, I'm going to also, like I said, on this side here, you can come out like at least like I said, 0.75 or 1 inch, depending on the amount of seam allowance you normally use when you sew. So from there now, I'm going to connect it to this point and then take it all the way to these 2 inches at the top. And that's basically it. So we finished cutting the pant now. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut. Everything is done, you see. So I'm going to stick to this line now, cut this out, stick to this part, cut out all the way to the top. So let me remove this so you see my back panel. So this is my back panel now. So guys, if you decided to leave the front piece free like that, just also leave the back free. Like if you didn't cut out anything from the sides of your pants, maybe you're using like a very light fabric and you want the leg to be very like wide, then you don't have to cut anything from the back too. If you didn't cut from the front, don't cut from the back. But if you tapered the leg in front, also taper the leg at the back. So now another thing that we're going to be doing here is to add a dart. So from this point now, I'm going to go in half an inch and 4 inches, which is my her nipple to nipple divided by 2. Mark it here, and then I'm going to come down like 5 inches length of that is what I'm going to be giving here for the back. Mark it here, half an inch on this side, and then half an inch on this other side. So this is going to be her back dart. I'm going to also go ahead and notch it here. So this is basically what the back panel looks like. So I'm going to add the dart here on both sides of the back. You see there are 2 pieces of it here, both the sides, and then that's it. So guys, you see what I have here? I just used a loose stitch to hold the back together because I'm still going to lose it. You see, I just held it together just so that this suit will be like this. So you see, I added a dart at this side of the back, this side of the back, 1 in front here, 1 in front here. I used bias to finish up the armhole here, closed up this side, did the same thing on this side like this, closed up this side. If I open it now, you will see my seam. This is just to help pull everything together, right? So guys, now to add the pockets, this is what I have. I'm working with 9 inches of width, 9 inches of length, so 9 by 9. The first thing I'm going to do is to fold it into 2 and make a stitch. So I'm going to make a stitch like 1.5 here. So coming from this point here, 1.5 in, and I'm going to make a long stitch. So guys, now that it's like this, the next thing I'm going to do is just to fold this down this way. So this, just fold it down this way, open it up and spread it open like this. You can iron it down, but this is what will form the pocket. Iron it down. The next thing you're going to do is to take one end of it and fold it like this. You can use like 1.5, not like 1.5. You can use like fold, instead of folding like half an inch and then half an inch again, like how we normally use 1 inch to sew. You can just use like 0.75 fold it, just so that it's a little bit thick, not too tiny, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to do mine that way now on this one and also on this one. So guys, this is what I have after I finished ironing it down. So what I'm going to do is that you can use pin to hold it down, but I'm going to fold in the sides until I have 5 inches of width, 6 inches of length. The corners here, I'm going to fold it. The bottom part, I'm going to until I have something like this, like a square, right? 5 inches of length, of width, 6 inches of length, and then I'm going to take it to join it to my pocket. So you're going to determine where you want yours to be. You can do, it depends on you. You can do 7.5 inch from the shoulder here, or you can do 8 inches from the shoulder. Mark it on a straight line. You can see the line that I marked here. So this is where my pocket is going to start, and then you're going to, like I said, tuck in the sides. You've already determined that you're doing 5 inches of width, 6 inches. So you have that square ironed out already or pinned out. that you're going to add here, and then the distance from the center to where the side of the pocket will be 2 inches. Lay down before you start. So I'm going to go ahead and attach mine on the 2 sides now. So guys, you see I've marked what I need, so 5 inches of width. So I'm going to trim off some of the excesses here, just leaving half an inch by the side, and then I'll take it to my fabric, fold the half an inch and sew everything down. So guys, you see the pocket has been added. So the next thing is the cover of the pocket, which I already have one here done. So but how you're going to do it is, this one is going to be 6 by 6, because we want, when we are done, 6 by 6, and then you're going to fold it into 2 like this. Close one side and turn it over. So see the one that I've done here is 6 by 6 folded into 2, and then I sewed it close just like this, you see, and then I sewed this side, flipped it over. So now this is what I'm working with here, just like this. So it's when you fold it over, now you just have 3 inches here, and then so I'm going to use half inch of this here to sew this down, and then once I sew it down, I'm going to flip it over like this and top stitch it. That way I'll be left with just 2.5 for the cover of this here. So I'm going to do this on this side and do it on this other side too, and then we'll come back and continue with the pant side.